secure your empire with mighty alliances. This is Sins of a Solar Empire 2. Sins of a Solar Empire 2 is a space 4X game with a focus on defeating your rivals in epic space combat, taking their worlds for your own, and establishing your empire as the galaxy's greatest power. Some games may feature a head-to-head matchup with only two empires, or two hard-locked teams of players facing off against one another, and no diplomacy will take place between these two eternal foes. However, many typical games of Sins 2 will feature more than two opposing elements, and these matches will involve some form of diplomacy. In this episode, we'll take a look at all the diplomatic options available to the player when treating with rival empires. While the mechanics for multiplayer diplomacy are identical to single player, aside from the in-game text chat system, those matches will also include the usual organic diplomacy that naturally occurs between human players as they scheme and plot their way to victory. We'll cover a few examples of this as we go, but generally speaking, what will work in single player should be broadly applicable to multiplayer too. Dealing with minor factions is a related topic which was covered quite extensively in the video titled Evolution of Sins 2 Part 3 Explore Expand, and we invite you to check that out for more information there. Diplomacy in Sins 2 is conducted from the diplomacy screen, which features a list of players and teams available to treat with, their current planetary holdings, and all existing treaties made between them and other players. There's a handy reminder of the conditions required to achieve victory in the scenario available here too, to help you avoid inadvertently losing the game as you unwittingly trade that last colony over to a player on the brink of a colonization victory. Both AI and human players will consider your requests before answering yes or no. Resources may be traded, and there are 3 levels of diplomatic treaty over and above the default state of war to offer up to. There are 3 treaties which begin with a ceasefire, with each successive agreement building upon the last. Treaties usually last until either party unilaterally cancels them, but an alliance lock timer can be optionally proposed upon which prevents the treaty being cancelled by either party until the timer has expired. Locking a treaty in place for a set time can be exceptionally useful to prevent a sneaky player backstabbing their partner before their intended war aims are achieved. In any free-for-all conflict with more than 2 protagonists, it's never wise to be at war with more foes than you can manage at any one time, and a ceasefire agreement will bring a temporary halt to hostilities. It can be beneficial to bring a temporary cessation to a conflict, perhaps to allow both sides to retreat, repair, and muster new fleets ready for a second push later on, or to allow a fleet of ships to pass by an otherwise hostile gravity well without fear of attack in order to reach a more dangerous target. A ceasefire agreement is also the first step in building trust towards a more lasting alliance. The second level is the Share Vision Treaty. This is pretty self-explanatory, with signing parties agreeing to share military intelligence with their partners, allowing each player to see everything that occurs across their combined territory. Knowing your partner's every move, and them knowing yours, enables rapid war coordination and decision-making in times of crisis. It also prevents either party from sneaking up on the other, and so a Share Vision agreement can be a powerful peacekeeping tool between two rivals. In multiplayer games, be aware that your partner could be secretly relaying your positions to a third party, and so this treaty requires a healthy level of trust between two co-signatories. The third and final level of alliance treaty is the Synergy Pact. This represents a tight integration of the two empires and has many effects. In single-player games, you can direct your AI allies to attack or defend targets, allowing you to bring the full force of your alliance down on your enemies in times of need. And that's not all. Bonuses gained from dominant culture are shared, as are the effects of retrofit facilities and phase gates, the sharing of exports for TEC factions only, and more. One important benefit of signing a Synergy Pact is that an empire's available resources are shown to their partner during diplomatic trades, meaning players have an intimate knowledge of one another's economic and industrial capabilities. The Synergy Pact signals to your ally a high level of commitment towards your shared goals across the sector. Teaming up to take down a powerful rival can be a game-saving play, and smaller, more vulnerable empires may find the extra benefits attached to ensure their partners stick to the deal longer. The strategic mobility gained by Visari players sharing a network of phase gates could well be a game-winning play, and the economic output for TEC factions sharing export income might make the difference between victory and defeat. Physical resources are available for trade between players using the diplomacy screen. If it's available for trade on the black market via the minor factions, it can be exchanged here too, and diplomatic trade also includes a few items unavailable on the black market. Credits, metal, crystal, and the various exotic materials are all available to barter, either as a straight-up exchange or to sweeten the deal when negotiating a treaty. Rulers of foreign empires are more likely to accept a treaty that comes with a generous package of resources. It's common to trade with your rivals when you're lacking a much-needed resource, or have a surplus and want to offload it for a profit. This system allows a player with less access to a specific resource to remain competitive as they trade for what they need with others who need what they have. There are many ways to spend your resources in multiplayer games too. Demanding a tribute of resources as protection money is a common practice, with stronger players often happy to accept regular tribute from a weaker but well-fortified neighbour in return for turning their sights on an easier target. Furthermore, this exciting system enables proxy wars to be fought, where a sponsoring empire can indirectly engage in a conflict with another through the regular funding of a third party, who will surprise their enemies with a far larger and more resilient war effort than their physical size would ever telegraph. Why fight someone yourself when you can pay someone else to do it for you? Let someone else make the effort while you focus your industrial efforts on technological superiority, or building a robust economy to last well into the endgame. If you really need some diplomatic leverage, you can always offer up one of your own colonies for trade. Conquering and developing a planet often represents a significant time and resource investment, and a resource-rich world would make for a valuable trade asset when offered up for consideration. Strategic positioning can be important here too. Selling a colony acting as a choke point or front between rival empires could be a crucial bargaining chip in a fraught diplomatic exchange. Sometimes, it can be difficult to hold on to a distant world you've liberated in a raid, and gifting it over to someone else better located to defend it properly could net you a rather large windfall of more immediately useful resources in exchange. Colonies can also create border friction between two empires, and could be the flashpoint that starts a war you're not really ready for. Offering it up as a gift to secure a ceasefire agreement could be well worth the loss of a single planet if it keeps the peace with an otherwise belligerent neighbour. It's also not unheard of for a more unscrupulous empire to quickly invade the territory of another while they're distracted elsewhere, steal a planet or two, and then offer to sell them back for a more extortionate price. This may be a smarter move than attempting to hold on to them yourself, particularly if the victim is larger and more dangerous than you are. Timing is the key here, as the larger empire would need to be sufficiently tied up on other warfronts to accept such an outrageous demand, instead of just crushing you like an annoying bug. Note that all planetary developments are destroyed when a planet is traded, so if you're certain you will be trading a planet away, it's usually best not to waste resources developing it too far before you do. No man is an island. In Sins of a Solar Empire 2, players must analyse the overall strategic game state and decide who to attack and who to befriend as the situation befits. If one player is starting to snowball in power, a hasty coalition may be the best way to bring them down. But while it can be beneficial to form alliances to achieve a mutual goal or war aim, you must always keep the game's victory conditions in mind. Your enemies will be doing the same.